All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Fintech Friday. I am super excited this week. Our guest sits in a role that we've not yet had on our little podcast. And so I'm really excited to get some real feedback from a chief technology officer at an independent mortgage banker. Welcome, Baiju Thakkar, to our podcast. Welcome, Baiju.
Hey, thank you, Brian. Excited to be here.
Yeah, super excited to have you on. Before I hit record, we were chatting a little bit about where you spent the first part of your week. So maybe we'll start, because this will be very timely for this podcast. So you just came back from, I still call it the Ellie Mae experience, but the ICE experience event in Las Vegas. And we were talking a little bit offline on that. Maybe quickly just well attended. What was the sentiment? Was there good electricity there? And then we'll kind of go a little deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think ICE experience was a buzz. A lot of people were excited after a couple of years of not being there or being online only. So being in person was a lot of energy around, right? It was well attended. I saw a lot of people. There was on some breakout session, it was like people were sitting on the floor because all the seats were there, right? There was a lot of waiting lists for some of the sessions. And it was really good to see a lot of industry folks, a lot of folks that you've done business with in the last 2-3 years, where, it was a lot of Zoom calls or Teams calls and putting faces to, pictures on the Zoom. It was good to see. Yeah, it was a great experience for sure.
I didn't make it this year. We just been on the run here the first part of the year. So this was one of those conferences that we had to kind of not avoid, but couldn't schedule. We just didn't have enough time. But I always enjoyed the conference because most mortgage conferences kind of are focused on the front of the house, kind of the production. That's either production or cap markets. I know Mortgage Bankers Association has their technology conference. But what I always thought was really cool about the Ellie Mae or ICE event was it's like the one event of the year where you can get deep into a mortgage banker's operations shop.
Yeah.
And you get attendees that are in underwriting, in processing, in post-closing and closing. And they basically represent the entire ecosystem from a mortgage banking perspective. And I'm assuming that's still the case, and the breakouts still cater to all those different areas.
Yeah, I think you hit on the head. Coming from an engineering background, development heavy application development side of stuff, it's good to see like the Encompass admin side, Encompass support side, right? So a lot of those folks that were there have different set of needs, right? In my new role as CTO, it was a good experience for me from having to interact with the other side of like the back office side, right? Not just the folks that are building the front end UIs and database and stuff like that. So there was it was a lot of smart people there, a lot of new vendors doing some amazing things, and ICE folks put on a really good experience, right? Like, because this is new for them, because they were Ellie Mae and they had it in person, technically they've gone through 2 purchases, right? They went to a private equity firm, and then in a 10-month period they went to ICE like right after that, right? So big changes for them, but a lot of new and exciting things coming on the roadmap from Ellie Mae /ICE.
Love it. So that's a good segue. So I think I mentioned this. You're Chief Technology Officer at Synergy One Lending. Maybe just quickly for the audience that's not familiar with Synergy One, just describe who is Synergy One real briefly, and then we'll talk a little bit about kind of what you're seeing in the industry.
Sure. Synergy One Lending is one of the leading mortgage independent mortgage company in the country. We do a lot of volume on the retail side. We're retail heavy at the moment. But yeah, we're licensing, I think, 42 to 45 states. Don't quote me, that changes very quickly. Yeah. We might be even further away along now. Sorry, compliance. And yeah, we are, we're focused on, as my shirt shows, we're focused on modernizing the mortgage experience, right? what does that mean? Two things in my perspective, right? One is the customer side. We are investing heavy into enhancing the user experience throughout the mortgage lifecycle. Mortgages are one of your biggest life events that happen in your life. It doesn't have to be hard, right? We have amazing technology tools these days. So, we're looking to kind of piggyback on a lot of those existing technology that's out there, and also build some innovative technologies ourselves to kind of give that amazing experiences for our customers to make their life a little easier. And then the second part is, our producers, our loan officers, branch manager, sales manager, we believe in providing top of the line tools for them as well. We are partnered with some of the industry best vendors out there. Talk about many of them. I don't want to shortchange anyone, so I won't name names, but those that know, who work with us, they know. So yeah, and then so we like to provide like industry best tools for our loan officers. So it makes it pleasant for them to come work with us. So makes their life easier, from whether that be automation or journeys or marketing or lead generation, right? We try to hit a lot of different avenues to make our loan officer and our sales leader successful.
So from where I sit, I kind of watch the landscape, and I can see the marketing that Synergy One puts out into LinkedIn and other places. And by the way, if people aren't familiar with what's the Chase Majerus little show
this week today,
which is a great title.
Yeah.
Just a 3-minute weekly, kind of summation of the market with usually some funny little segments in there. But the marketing at Synergy One is fantastic. And my observation from where I sit is at Synergy One, it's as much about the consumer as it is about the originator. And so I love that you guys kind of think across two dimensions in terms of who your customer is, right? Your end customer, of course, is the consumer, but they don't exist unless you take care of that first customer, the originator. And to your point, being thoughtful about how you put together kind of top shelf technology solutions for originators, it makes a difference. And I think based on the growth that you guys have had in that originator space, you're clearly doing some things, correctly there, which is awesome.
Yeah, we have an amazing CMO in our team, Tim Wagner, right? He's a Housing Wire tech trendsetter. Say it correctly. Him and his team put out some amazing campaigns. We have some top of the line proprietary campaigns that they work on that returns good 5x, 10x type of ROIs on the money spent, right? So our LOAs see direct impact on leads that are coming in through some of the re-engagement campaigns that Tim and his team puts out. So super kudos to them. That he's one of the reasons, alongside our CEO Steve Majerus himself, who when we had this conversation about, I'm fairly new to Synergy One. I'm only here about 4 months right now, but just talking to them, before I made the move to come over here, just to see their passion on the two fronts that you talked about, right? 100% customers, right? Our borrowers are our main customers, but we also put a big emphasis on our loan office and our producers, right? Now, not only we want to keep our existing producers, right? We want to attract some of the best talent in the country, and providing a really great, solid tech stack is the way to go on that.
So I kind of teased this when we started. I was excited that we've got somebody that sits in your position on today's episode, because if I go back, I think we're getting close to our 40th episode of this little podcast. I've mainly had service providers to the industry that have joined me. So call it vendors, if you will. I guess today I sit in that seat in my role at FinLocker. But we have not yet had somebody in your role that is charged with a couple things. One is evaluating what's the right technology that's coming down the pipe that you should be looking at. And then once you have somebody to consider, what's what does vetting look like, and how do you go about making sure that this is a reputable platform. It's not going to damage your brand and your reputation. And then 3, there's ongoing oversight, and relationship management there. And probably number 4, and arguably maybe the most important, is how do you make sure that you don't have either gaps in the technology and services or duplicate kind of services and that run up your costs. And so I know I covered a lot in that long-winded question, and we can dissect it, but I really was just wanting to have you talk to the audience about the importance of evaluating a vendor, what goes into that process, and then the ongoing kind of relationship management as well.
Yeah, no, I think those are some great questions there, Brian. Let me see if I can tackle one of them. Picking vendors on filling, what we lack at the current moment is challenging, because there are many vendors that provide a lot of the services you want, right? Automation or appraisal, or you can name all, CRMs, right? Like you can name a bunch of them. What I use to evaluate is, I like matrix. I'm a technology geek, right? I do matrices and rubrics, right? I like to see a big picture view on what the different vendors are offering. What I've noticed is no one vendor is going to be perfect for you. If a vendor tells you, hey, we got everything for you, they're probably going to be out there like ridiculously expensive, and it's still going to happen, right? Don't want to name any names, but I'm sure you guys can figure out some of them. But I think, you have to come into mindset with that approach that, hey, not every vendor is going to do everything you want, right? So, you start then you just start putting it on paper. Okay, well, what does vendor A do? What does vendor B do? What does vendor C do? Start listing out all the different things that are important to you. Check those boxes off, and then see where you're going to invest most of your money in. And it doesn't have to be the one that checks all the check boxes, right? Because relationship also matters, right? Like one of the things I look for is, okay, they might check all the technology boxes. This might be a little bit less on it, but they were much, much nicer to work with. They were a lot less salesy. I can see a partnership forming with this team over the next 2, 3, 5 years, versus this one is going to be a little bit more challenging on upselling and having a hard time, right? So I might go with a different vendor, even though they may not check all the boxes at the moment. I know that they're going to be a lot more stronger partner to us. So I look at those things as well, right? And I think it's important to, as we get back into a day-to-day normal of seeing people again, I think, relationships are huge. Who can you see being a partner with you, not just a technology that gives you, they touted that, hey, we offer you best of breed, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
So I like approaching it that way, like make a big matrix of comparisons and then kind of fill out what's more important to us. And I can talk about weighted averages and all that other fun stuff alongside of that. Remind me some of the other questions because it was too long.
Well, I have a quick one before I go back to go a little bit deeper. So, and this one just came to mind. I have to imagine in your seat today and kind of where you were in a prior life, you have a lot of stuff thrown at you. I'll call it the shiny object of the day, right? Baiju, go check out this vendor. What do they do? Yeah. I don't know, but their presentation was great. I need you to go vet it out. We need to add that. How do you go about in an organization like Synergy One being responsive to the production in the business, but at the same time being responsible to the company, fiscally and from a security perspective? Because you can't do everything and you can't sign everybody up. Yeah. I'm just curious, what kind of internal processes you guys go through to make sure you're not just answering the whim of one originator when you go partner with somebody.
Oh, that's fantastic. One of the things I like to fall back on is always remember your why and start looking at, when beginning of the year, most companies will do this, right? You start figuring out, okay, what is going to be your core goals for the year, right? Whether that's 2 or 3 or 4, right? Identify that this is our mission for the year, right? You have your overall company mission and vision for life, but every year you're going to have a specific goals, right? And then whenever, vendors come in through either referrals or internal or direct cold calls, right? You try to look at them, okay, do they fit in? Let's say there were three. Let's say we have three major goals that we want to accomplish for the year. Say, okay, do these fit into any of these three of goals that we want? If they don't, then hey, you know what? It was great to meet you, but this may not be the right time for us to have a partnership, right? Let's circle back in, let's say, 6 months and we can see where we are. If they do fit into one of those threes, right, then you can do a little bit more due diligence on, okay, do they fit in a gap that we're missing, right? Like very basic gap analysis. Hey, this would be a really great fit in this thing that we're missing, that we don't have the resources for at the moment. And then, okay, let's explore further on that. So that's my approach on have your overall yearly goals that are presented to you from a high level, right? And then see whether the vendors or partnerships or even stuff that you want to build, right? Like I'm a big believer in building your own IP, just control your destiny that way a little bit more. But even those, right? Do those fit into that? So yeah, the shiny objects everywhere, right? I'm talking about the shiny object, over at the conference, right? All these vendors with all these new buzzwords. Oh, we got bots and we got RPAs and we got AIs and we got MLs and unfortunately, I didn't see any. I was surprised, coming from a technology world, there wasn't any talk around the metaverse. I was like, hey, are we not doing the metaverse of technology, like mortgages? Like, where's the metaverse in the mortgage industry, right? So it's not there yet. Maybe next year's conference we'll have more on the metaverse, right? So
I would expect it, yeah.
Yeah, so you got to be careful on, you got to really understand what your company goals are and then what your goals from a technology are to support those company business goals and make sure that the partnership or the build stuff you're going to do fit into those goals.
Yeah, I love it. And then, so kind of the second part of the question is, you've got this roster of partners in your tech stack, so to speak. What is what does the ongoing assessment and oversight look like? Because you can't just set it and forget it. We're in I think we're in this period of time where we're going to see rapid advancement in mortgage and the technology space. And so if you're not paying attention to your overall tech stack and you're bringing on the next new best thing, whatever that is, or you're building the new best thing, I think it feels like you always have to constantly be looking at the entire ecosystem every time you bring something new to the table.
Yeah, no, you always, from a CTO perspective, right, you always have to be looking at the macro side of things, right? Like, hey, what's out there? What is the industry trends, right? Without falling in love with every shiny object. But you also have to pay attention to the micro side of it, right? Like, okay, the partner that we did sign with a few months ago, maybe a year ago, how are they working out? Are we seeing measurable, quantifiable progress? Like, is the relationship building? Is the partner, looking at your feedback and adjusting? Are they pivoting, right? We talk about startup mentality, right? Like are we constantly iterating on what we're working on? What made sense like a year ago may not make sense like not even next year, may not make sense now, right? And are you in a position to make a change? Are you in a position to pivot, right? And that comes back to making sure your relationships are solid, right? Making sure the partners that you do decide to go with has that kind of relationship with you as well, right? It's not just a one-way street. So a lot of those factors play in from, picking the right partner and making sure quantifiable, measurable progression is happening.
Love it. Yeah, you always hear about the vendors scheduling the QBR with the client. It feels like it's equally important for the client to be having the same discipline to where you're reviewing not only your tech stack but some of the individual players in there. It sounds like that's kind of your mindset that you kind of live with. So again, sitting in your spot, most of our listeners, I think, tend to be more on the production side. So probably more like your originators. And so what advice would you give an originator at the street level as they think about kind of how they should be providing feedback up into their organization to not only improve, their work experience, but ultimately the experience of the consumer they serve. And is that something that you guys actively do at Synergy One with your team?
Yeah, no, that is a great question, Brian. I think one of the things I like to speak to originators that are out there, right? From our side, right, we got to support all originators, right? Like I we totally understand, a sales manager over there or a high producer over there wants to do a thing a certain way, right? But from a technology perspective, we have to support all of those technologies, right? As you understand, like cybersecurity is a big deal, right? Like ransomware is a big thing, right? So the more we can have, I don't want to use the word limit, but the less vectors of attacks that we can have on our technology stack, right? The safer we are as a company.
Yeah.
And then from a feedback perspective, we have multiple channels that you can reach out, right? They can always reach out to me directly. My teams, like we're big Microsoft Team shop. My Teams is always open, right? Like people talk all the time. I get random messages. So everyone can, and my email's out there as well. I even have my personal cell phone number posted out on every email I send out internally. So from a feedback perspective, right? Like we're all open. Our sales leader, Aaron Nemec, and our operations officer, Nicole Abraham, right? They both do an amazing job of kind of staying in touch with everybody from a feedback perspective. We have regular calls to solicit feedback and action, take action on it as well, right?
Right.
Like, there's something to do about taking feedback, right? But what do we do? I'll give you some examples on, we had a couple of HR initiatives that we wanted to kind of do. And you all know the industry, right? The Fed just raised rates, right? The industry itself is contracting a little bit, right? So you got to be able to cost a little bit more than usual. But we had a conversation on like, dude, we believe in our employees and all employees, whether that's corporate or field. And then introducing some new amazing technology side of stuff from our learning management system side of stuff, right? So we're still investing in our people. That's the feedback we heard. Hey, we need better training type of tools. And as a CTO kind of technology, I agree with you. Let's go make that happen, right? So even if it costs more, we're going to make that happen and provide a better training experience for all of our employees.
So I love it. When I took away, I put my originator hat on, and I'm thinking Synergy One's a pretty cool place to be an originator. There's the modern mortgage experience, right? It's not just a set of words. It's what you guys it's your mission. It's your culture that you're building and iterating on. But the fact that you have your open Teams line, your mobile number, originators can reach out directly to you. Not a lot of companies don't have that channel of communication, and I think it's a testament to the culture that Steve and Aaron and yourself and the leadership team have built and continue to build at Synergy One. I love it. I'm a big fan of the company. Steve and I go back a few decades. Sadly, we've been at this thing for a while, but we have known each other for quite a while. Love what he's doing, what you guys are doing there. I love I was super excited to see you join the company because it was something that I think where they needed help was just getting more organized around the tech stack to really now support the mission of that modern mortgage experience. And to get your feedback today is super helpful. Anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we sign off for the day?
No, I think you put it really well, Brian. I think Synergy One is a great place. I made the move here from another mortgage company about 3.5 months ago. It's been amazing. Everyone says that, right? But it is really true at Synergy One, and it was like that at my previous company as well. They were also amazing. But no, people have been great. And from recruiting perspective, you briefly mentioned that, right? Like Ben Green does an amazing job as our recruiting, right? Has brought in some amazing talent in the last 6 months alone. And he continues to do it. So anyone wants to kind of reach out to myself, feel free. Reach out to Ben Green. You can find him. He's all over social media as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. So once this is published, we'll include a link to Baiju's LinkedIn. And so I'm guessing, Baiju, hopefully this is okay. You may have some other folks that sit in your similar roles reaching out just for feedback from time to time. That's one of the cool things that I get to do here is connect people. So it's
Yeah.
part of your responsibility now that you came on the show.
No, absolutely. I'd be more than glad to, and like I probably end up asking them a lot of questions because I'm still learning. I'm fairly new to the mortgage industry. This is like only my beginning of my year 4. It's only about 2 years totally into it. I have about a 20+ year technology experience, right? And so now whatever I can do to help to anybody, at the ICE conference, I actually met with a whole bunch of other CIO, CTO folks, and we're just asking them questions like, hey, I've been in the business for about 10, 15 years. And my first question was, hey, you were there for 2008. Like, how did you survive?
Yeah.
Stuff like that, right? So, yeah, whatever I can do to help anybody from any technology perspective or product perspective, absolutely.
I love it. Well, thank you again for joining us, Baiju. It's been a pleasure to kind of learn more about yourself and Synergy One. Thank you to the audience again for tuning in, and we'll see everybody next week on our next episode. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Brian.